Welcome to the Divorce Talk with Twyla show, where we talk all things divorce, and you will be inspired, informed, encouraged, and empowered. Now, let's welcome our host, Twyla M. Marks, the divorce recovery expert. She is Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back divorce coach.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm Twyla M. Marks. I'm the divorce recovery expert, also known as Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back divorce coach. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And listen, we have an amazing show for you today. This is the second episode of my Infidelity Series. And listen, you are going to be in for a treat. I have an amazing guest, and today's show is From Pain to Purpose. So, listen, be sure to tune in every week on Divorce Talk with Twyla show, because I have 2 more episodes for the Infidelity series, and you don't want to miss it. So, this series, guess what? It's all about helping you or someone you know heal and recover from infidelity. So let's jump right on in. I'd like to welcome my special guest, Dr. Katrina Esau. She is also passionately known as Dr. K. She's the author of The Pain of Infidelity, Birth's Purpose. She is the founder of the W.H.O.L.E Academy, which is Wives Healing Openly, Leaving Him Exalted. So let's welcome Dr. Katrina Esau to Divorce Talk with Twyla.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This has been a whirlwind, but to God be the glory. I am so excited to be here with you today and to share with the people about the goodness of the Lord. It is such an amazing thing. So thank you.
You're so welcome. And I would have to concur. Yes, it's been a whirlwind. So here we are. Here's something else is happening.
Listen, Twyla. The sound has went out again. Can you believe it? The sound has went out. I cannot believe this is going to be powerful. I cannot hear you, but it seems that you can hear me. This is going to be a very, very powerful episode. Just bear with me 1 minute. I am going to see if there's anything I can do on this end to make sure that I can hear you, because we are going to bless the people. We are going to get this story out there.
Yes, we are.
Oh,
it's going to be out there. Whoever doesn't like it, I'm sorry, it's coming. Hang on, folks. Unmute your mic.
There we go.
Glory. We just need to take a praise break.
Thank you, Jesus.
We need to take a praise break.
Oh my God. Yes. God, I thank you. Because let me tell you, the trial and tribulation that we have had to get this done is unreal. But you know what? The giant in the land is only an indication that somebody's life is about to be changed. Somebody's life is about to be transformed. Somebody is about to be helped. Somebody is about to get some healing and wholeness today. In Jesus' name.
Amen. So y'all, sit back, relax, and listen. Let's get to this powerful, amazing story, testimony, journey of Dr. Katrina Esau. So, Dr. Katrina, if you want to or Dr. K, that's what I'm going to call you. If you want to just share with the people about your journey as it relates to infidelity, and we'll just jump right on into our conversation on today.
Absolutely. So it has been just that, a journey. I tell people, healing is not a destination. It is a journey. And so I walked through infidelity. It's been a little over 18 years ago now. It happened to me back Labor Day weekend, 2003. That's when I found out about it. Let me say it that way. And
Mhm.
so I was coming home from a conference here in Orlando, Florida. I was driving back to Tampa, and I got the phone call, checking in with my daughter, see how things went for the weekend. And she just happened to mention that they had stayed at, someone's house. And I'm like, well, I don't know who that is. That's what I'm saying to myself. But
Mhm.
I'm in the car, with my girlfriend, so I got to keep it together.
Right.
And so when I got home, it was on. I didn't want no explanation. I didn't want no excuses. I didn't want any of that. Just get your stuff and get the heck on up out my house, because
Right.
that was a deal breaker, for me and so many other women. And then you find yourself in the place and it's like, okay, now what? Because we always say that, I'm not putting up with that and da. And I said that. But when
Mhm.
you are surrendered and submitted to the will of God, you'd be amazed of the things that you'll endure. And
Right.
so that happened, put my husband out, we separated. And it was maybe a few weeks. And, God had told me to tell him, he got 3 days to come home. So I'm thinking, oh, this is about to be over with. I can pick my life back up, not even understanding the magnitude of what had just happened and the pain of it. And that it's not going to happen in 3 days, even if he came home. But he didn't. And
Mm.
so those 3 days turned into 3 years. And I was
Mm.
like, OMG, like, what
Mhm.
am I going to do?
Mhm.
And I never forget, I was at work and I called my spiritual mother and I shared with her, what had just happened. And I'm like, I'm getting a divorce. And she
Mm.
was like, Katrina, God don't move that fast. And I'm like, well, I'm saying to myself, I'm moving this fast,
Yes. Yeah.
I'm not doing this. And so, told her, and she was like, you got to stand in the gap. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. And so, that's where the journey began. Because she was like, when you sign the divorce paper, she's like, your heart isn't going to change.
Right.
You're still going to feel the pain, you're
Mhm.
still going to have the hurt. And so I began to seek God. And I'm like, okay, God, what am I supposed to do?
Mm.
What is am I supposed to fight for this? Like, am I supposed to stay in the gap, stand in the gap until he, gets it together? And
Right.
so I will never forget, one of the first things he did was he showed me a dream. And in the dream, he showed me where it was like we were in this large congregation of people, and it was like it was a parade of some sort. And
Mhm.
so when we started out, we were together.
Oh, we lost you. Can't hear you.
And so that was my way of knowing that that we were going to have reconciliation. Now, this is me, when you're walking through this thing, you need it more than one time, because I
Oh,
wasn't
yeah.
seeing anything
Yeah. So
in the
go back to
natural.
the dream. Go back to the dream part. We lost you. The audio we went out for a little bit. We had the dream. You were in a parade, a large group of people.
Yes, and so we when we started out in the dream, we were together, and somehow or another we got separated, and then at the end of the dream, we came back together. And so
Okay.
that was my first, clue that restoration was what was going to happen in my marriage. And
Okay.
so again, when that happens, you're still, because you're bombarded by what you see, and
Right.
what I was seeing did not indicate anything about reconciliation. It did not indicate none of that. And so I'm like, oh my goodness. So I'm still going through, I'm still just trying to pick myself up, because at this time I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a strategy. I didn't have anything. I was just hurting. I was hurt. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I was broken. I didn't understand, how could this happen to me? All of that stuff is going on. Then you start seeing the reels of everything that has happened, and you start
Mhm.
to see all of the flags and the signs and the things that you missed or
Yeah.
that you ignored or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I continue to walk the journey. Like I say, those 3 days turned into 3 years. And it was some of the most hellacious times, of walking through that whole thing of being, separated from my husband. This was the guy that I had been with. He was my prom date. And
High school
so
sweetheart.
Yes,
Yes, yeah.
yes. And so walking through that and having your home, your life turned upside down,
Yeah.
as you knew it, it was a very tough thing for me. But I had to walk through the process. And what I thought was going to happen, because I was always telling God, he done this. You don't see what he doing. You don't see, why are you allowing this to happen?
Yeah.
And God would always point me back to me, and he would show me my flaws because I wasn't innocent in it.
Yeah.
My hands weren't, clean. There were things that I had done. But the
Mhm.
one thing that I always say to women is, I acknowledge my fault in the dysfunction that I brought to the marriage, but I'll never take responsibility for his decision. Because when you cheat, infidelity, it's a choice. You choose to do that.
Right.
You're choosing to try to solve a problem on the inside by going outside, and that never works. You can't solve an inside problem by going outside. And
Right.
so we walked through this thing. At the time he didn't want to get a divorce, but he
Mhm.
didn't want to work on the marriage. He was, out there living it up, living his life, and it was working for him. It wasn't working for me, but it
Right.
was working for him. Here I am, we have a daughter, and I'm trying to, okay, God, you're telling me restoration, but how? This man does not even want to get it together.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so started going through that. And then I never forget, because I kept going back and forth. I'm like, I'm not
Mhm.
going to do this,
Mhm.
because we always say it takes two to make it work.
Right.
And for a long time, the two was just me and Jesus. We were
Yeah.
the two that wanted it to work. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times, when people say, well, it takes two to make it work. And, if he don't want it, then you got to see what God is saying. You know, what is he saying to you? Is he telling you reconciliation? And so I
Right.
was going through that. And then I'll never forget, because like I said, he gave me the dreams. There was
Mhm.
another occasion where I'm like, God, Joyce Meyer says that there's something in this Bible for every place I hurt. And I was hurting. I was hurting. I was bleeding.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's in
Mhm.
here? Where is it that you talk about I got to stay with this man? And he
Mhm.
took me to Jeremiah 3:1.
Mhm.
And in Jeremiah 3:1, it talks about how the Israelites, how they kept sinning against God, how they were worshiping
Mhm.
other gods, but he kept taking them back. And I'm like, oh my God, like, this is really what you want me to do. Like, I gotta do this. And then he would give me this, he took me to Hosea, and
Mhm.
he knew her wife was a prostitute. He kept
Yeah.
sending him out to get him off the butcher block. And I'm like, oh my God.
My
So
goodness.
God would, he confirmed his word so many times to me in so many different ways. But the one thing that he did, which is where I made the true decision to fight for my marriage,
Mhm.
was I was watching TBN one night, and there was a couple on there, and they were sharing how, they had went through infidelity and how their relationship was stronger post
Mm.
infidelity. And I'm like, God, are you sure? Once again, here I am
Yeah.
asking. I know he was like, girl, if you don't get out my face. But I was asking him again, like, God, really, like, is this really what you want me to do? And he said to me, he was like, you can divorce and
Mm.
I'll still bless you. But he's like, if you don't fight this, your daughter's going to have to fight. And it was at that moment I made the decision to fight, that I had to put 100% effort in to fight for my marriage, because I didn't want my daughter to have to fight something because I was too weak or too angry or too upset to fight it. Because
Yeah.
what God showed me was it was a generational curse. My
Yeah.
parents divorced, my
Mm.
grandparents divorced, my
Wow.
great great parents divorced. So it was something that was passed on from generation to generation. And
Yeah.
I'm like, it stops here. It stops with me. I am going to fight.
Yeah.
There's going to be some things that my daughter's going to have to go through. She's going to have to fight some stuff herself, but I don't want her to fight this because I couldn't do it.
Mm.
And
That's good. Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so it was at that moment that I made the decision. And the thing about it is, you have to make a decision. Like, what are you going to do? Are you staying or are you leaving? I can't tell you that.
Yeah.
Only you know that. You have to get before the Father and get clarity on what you're to do. But
Mhm.
whatever that decision is, you got to give it 100%
Yeah.
of your effort. You cannot be divided, because if you're saying, like I did for a long time, I was saying I'm gonna fight for it, but then when I got caught up by what I was seeing, no, I don't want it. And I tried to get a divorce 3 times because I was just tired of hurting. I was tired of fighting. I was tired
Mhm.
of, feeling like I was doing it all on my own, that I was by myself. I was just like, let me just heal, God. Let me heal and just send me somebody else. I'm cool with
And
it,
let me get out of this. Yeah.
Yes, yes, let me get out of this dysfunction because I ain't in the business of keeping nobody that don't want to be kept.
That's right.
So, but
Yeah.
God was like, girl, bye. And so here we are, fast forward,
Yeah.
we went through the separation. 3 years we were separated. He
Mhm.
came home, but then he had to turn himself in and he did a prison sentence for another 3 years. So we were technically apart 6 years. And
Yeah.
although we were working on our relationship during that 3 year time that he was incarcerated,
Yeah.
it's different when they come home because there were things that I thought I had dealt with. There were, I thought I had forgave, and
Yeah.
when he came back home and under the roof, that stuff just came bubbling back up. I realized I was still angry. I was mad. I was
Mm.
bitter. All that stuff that I thought I had gotten over. I thought I had forgave him, and it's like, why am I feeling like this? But then I had to learn that forgiveness is a process, and I
Yes.
had to learn, about triggers and things and barriers that were preventing me from truly forgiving because we've
Mhm.
been taught, I'll forgive you, but I'll never forget. And that's not real forgiveness.
Mhm.
And so I had to learn all those things. I had to walk through that process. But here we are, just celebrated our 26th wedding anniversary Christmas Day. So He's a
God be
restorer.
the yes.
He's a restorer, honey. I can say that. And I encourage women, I get that restoration is not everybody's story, but
Right.
regardless of whether your marriage is salvaged or not, you need to heal and you need to be whole, no matter whether
Mhm.
you stay or whether you leave. You got
Yeah.
to get healed.
Oh my God. Yes, yes, yes. Oh my goodness. I love, love, love your story. And one of the things you said so much, but I want to talk about one of the things you said when you talked about you have to make a decision if you're going to leave or you're going to stay, and nobody can make that decision for you. So, Dr. K, when you made your decision, were there some moments where you wavered, like, I don't know if I'm going to do this or I want to do this? But when you finally made your choice and decision to say, I'm staying, I'm going to fight no matter what, how did that look? You were in therapy at that point, or how did that look? We might have
So
listeners
for
out here for if they're in that space.
Absolutely. So for me, when I finally made the decision that divorce had to come off the table, there were definitely moments where I wanted to go back to that because I wasn't seeing with the natural eye progression, at least so it seemed to me. But
Right.
I knew that I had decided, and so I couldn't keep going back to that. So when I would have those moments, I would find scripture to stand on and I would remind myself of what God already told me. And so when you're walking through your process, you have to know why you're doing it. And that's something you have to figure out very
Mhm.
quickly. Why am I fighting for this marriage? Why am I staying? It can't be, well, because of the kids. It can't be, I
Yeah.
say it can't be. These are some of the things that sometimes we say, but it's not a strong enough thing to hold you there. And let me explain
Yeah.
what I mean. Because
Hmm.
sometimes we'll say, well, I'm going to stay till the kids graduate school, or I'm going to stay because he's the breadwinner and, I need the income. And so you have those reasons for staying, but because it's not, what's the word I want to use? The why of it, you want a why that's going to hold you and sustain you because
Gotcha.
it's going to get rocky. It's going to look like, why am I doing this? Why am I wasting my time? Because here's the thing, about 60 something percent of people decide to stay after infidelity. But I question, what's the quality of the marriage? So it's one thing for you to say, well, I'm going to stay for the kids, but sometimes you'll find you do more damage to the kids by staying than if you would have just left and
Yeah.
had a healthy relationship with him and co-parent, you
Amen.
know. And
Yeah.
so that's why it's important to really understand why you're staying, because you're going to have to go back to that why in those moments where it looks like it's not working. And
Mhm.
so I did therapy as well because my emotions had me all over the place. I was being triggered by things. I've shared where there's this one intersection here, and every time I would get to it, it would send me into this dark place. And I finally got to the place where I'm like, I'm not gonna ride around town trying to avoid a daggone intersection
Right.
because you keep trying to hijack my spirit. I'm not doing that, you
Right.
know? And so I ended up getting a therapist because I needed to get these emotions under control. Because God gave us emotions, we need to feel them, we need to acknowledge them because they are there and they are a real thing, but they
Yes.
should not be controlling you. They should not be controlling the decisions that you make. They shouldn't be leading and guiding you. And
That's
mine were. I'd be happy one moment, sad the
right.
next, angry the next, and this could all happen in a span of an hour.
So you are on an emotional roller coaster. Exactly.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have to get help. And I know it's something that we don't talk about a lot in our communities, but
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with talking to somebody. And
Nothing.
I say it this way. Don't get a therapist or go to someone where you are not going to tell the truth and the whole truth.
Mhm.
Because we tried, we went to our pastors, that didn't
Yeah.
really work. And it
Mm-mm.
didn't work not because of nothing they did. We just wouldn't tell the truth,
Yes.
because we didn't want to be judged. We didn't want people looking at us with a side eye and all that kind of stuff. So we were leaving out stuff. It's just like if you go to the doctor and you tell the
Mhm.
doctor, I have a really bad headache, but the truth is your elbow or your arm is broke. Well, even though they can see that it's broken, they're not going to fix it because you came in here and said that the only problem you have was your headache. So I'm going to give you some medicine for this
Right.
headache and send you out with that same broken arm.
Right.
Same is true for therapy. You need somebody that you can talk to and be honest and be vulnerable so
That's
that
it.
they can give you the tools, they can give you the resources, they can help you.
They
And
can help.
so, yeah, you're going to have those moments where, look, I don't want to do this. But if you've decided that you're going to stay, you got to give it 100% of what you got.
100%, folks. My God, you know what? Yes, you got to go to a therapist. Let's talk about that for a little bit. Go to a therapist where you can just share and cry and give the whole box of tissue and just do all of that stuff because that's the only way you're going to get helped and you're going to be healed from whatever you're going through. And in this case, infidelity. So, yeah, we have to. And church is fine. I'm a Christian woman. Of course, you're a woman of God as well. But go to somebody where you can just let it all out.
Let it all hang out, all hang out. Because the thing of it is, they, they're what they always say, like they don't have a dog in this fight.
Yeah.
They want to help you. And like I said, it's not that your pastors or your Christian counselors at your church does not, I'm not saying they don't want to help you. But
Right.
if you know that you are not going to go in and be vulnerable and say, listen, this is where we are, this is what happened, and you're not going to give them what they need to be able to help you,
Right.
then don't do that to yourself. Go to someone else, go to a licensed professional to help you walk through that, to go through that therapy stage. And the thing of it is, you may have to get a therapist and a coach. And
Absolutely.
they're different.
They
The therapist is going to give you the psychological book stuff and all of that
Mhm.
and give you some resources. But
Yep.
a coach will help you walk that thing out. A coach will be there for you, hold you accountable. And especially if you have a coach that have been through what you're walking through, it
Amen.
makes a difference. It
A
makes a
major
difference.
difference.
So yeah, you may have to do both of those things, but I encourage people, get counseling, get a coach, do whatever you need to do to make sure that you heal, because you have to go to a place to where you can have that. You got to be vulnerable. Is it going to hurt? Yeah, it's shameful. I wore that mask for a long time. I was shame, guilt. Here I am, a believer, always in the church doing things. I'm a giver, I'm a tither. I was embarrassed to say, oh my God, infidelity hit my home,
Yeah.
but the thing of it is, and I say this, I tell people, even as David said, it was good that I was afflicted because it taught me the statutes of the Lord. It gave me the relationship that I have with him now that I would not trade for the world. I would never, don't get it wrong. I'll never want to have to walk through this again. And I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy. But
Oh,
I'm grateful to God for the lessons and the things that have come out of it. I'm grateful for the purpose that was birthed out of all of the pain. I'm grateful to be in a place now to be able to help women navigate what that looks like, because when you're in it, you feel like
mm.
you're by yourself. You feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
you're alone. Who can I tell?
Yeah.
Women feel stupid. Like I feel stupid for even staying and wanting to fight for this mess, and he don't want it. You're not stupid. You're not
Mhm.
alone. The infidelity hits every 1 in 2.7 couples. That's almost every 1 in 3 couples. So you are not by yourself. And those are just the people that reported it. Imagine the people that don't ever say anything. So
Wow.
you are not by yourself, but the enemy has a way of making you think you the only one. I thought it. When I was
Mhm.
going through, I thought I was the only one. And I didn't have anyone to reach out to. And just to be real, I had my spiritual mother, but she was straight Bible.
Yeah.
I couldn't just come and
Yeah.
be Katrina. I needed a
Yeah.
place to be human. To her, this mess hurt.
This hurts. Yeah, this hurts. Exactly. Exactly. And then I'm sure, of course, now we have so many life coaches and that specialize in different subject matters. But back then, Dr. K, I'm sure there wasn't a lot of resources that you could reach out to or contact.
Yeah, not at all. And
Yeah.
even now, with it being such a, everybody's a coach these days,
Yes.
and you still don't see people in this area. And that's why I'm grateful that it's my niche, you know, because, and there are times where you want to expand it, it's just too, but no, because
No.
this is something that we don't talk about. We especially don't want to talk about it in church. It's such a
Mm,
taboo topic. It's a very sensitive topic. And
absolutely.
so I'm glad to be in the area, one of the ones that will share, and I draw people because I share my story in such an open and real way. It happens.
Yeah.
When I look back and when I was in, I'm like, okay, I'm, educated,
Yeah.
beautiful Black woman,
Yeah.
climbing the corporate ladder. How in the world this happens to me?
Come
And
on.
there's people in the same position like I am, same,
Yes.
and killing the game corporately. And then, you're doing what God has called you to do, and they hit my house.
Yes.
Hello?
Like, Lord, how did you let this happen to me? Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But
Wow.
it
Wow. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, we're talking about your personal story, your journey, but now the show is entitled From Pain to Purpose. So now you are walking in your purpose. And listen, tell us about your academy and all of that good stuff, because I know you are helping women all across the country as it relates to recovering from infidelity or healing from infidelity.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
for me, it was really my mission and my passion to help other women that went through infidelity. Number one, not only that went through it, but really, even if they stayed, decided to stay, I wanted to be able to help women walk through that, navigate that. I knew that I couldn't do it, on my own by myself, literally traveling from state to state, city to city. So the first
Mhm.
step of that was to put it in my book, which is The Pain of Infidelity Births Purpose, where I share the whole story, y'all. You got to go in there. Chapter 3 is everybody's favorite because it's the wife becomes the other woman. So you got to go and get it and read the
Oh, yeah.
chapter.
Okay.
Yes, but it starts there. I started with a book, and then which led up to the academy, where I offered, different digital courses. I also do one-on-one coaching and
Yeah.
help women to kind of navigate that. I teach women the 5 pillars of restoration, which we deal with forgiveness, what it really is. We deal with the triggers, we deal with the barriers
Mm.
of it. We also talk about building a relationship with God. It's getting in vertical alignment because that is very, very important, in your journey. I know we have a wide array of people listening, and maybe you're saved or you're not saved, but I cannot stress how important it is to have a relationship with God, because He's going to give you some insight. He's going to give you some
Yes,
wisdom. He's going to
Lord.
show you,
Mhm.
which corners to turn. So it's important to have that. I
Yeah.
also talk about self care. We lose ourselves in this thing. And I know for me, I had lost who Katrina was. I didn't know what I liked. I got caught up in climbing the corporate ladder, trying to be a great mom,
Mm.
trying to be a wife. I lost me. And so part of my healing journey is God began to show me again. He
Mm.
began to show me the things I loved. He began to show me how to celebrate myself. Like, you ain't got to wait on nobody to throw you no party. Throw your own party.
Throw your own
You know,
party. Come on now. You better
throw
come
your
on.
own party. Listen, get up.
Listen
I
here.
get up on the weekends and go to the outlet, go grab me some lunch and bring my behind back home. You don't sit
Yes.
there and wait on people and then, oh, well, I don't feel like going. By the time you done talk them into going, you don't feel like going.
Right.
So do
Yeah.
you,
Do
do
you?
you. The
Yeah.
other thing, the fourth one is walking in the newness of life. And that's really walking the women
Love it.
through who they are,
Mhm.
showing them who God says they are, because we've had a lot of stuff spoken over us. And it's just, some of it is just not the truth. Some
Yeah.
people have been beaten down with words. They've been,
Mhm.
some women have never had anybody physically hit them, but they've been torn down by
My
the
God.
words of other people. And it's important, not so much what they say. I'm not going to say it doesn't hurt, because it does, but
Mhm.
it's really important what you say to yourself about yourself. And so I kind of
Mm.
walk them through that. And then the fifth is rebuilding trust, which is a
Ooh,
hard thing to do,
wow.
because we've been taught, I ain't gonna, I'll never trust you again.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not the quality of relationship here. That was one of the things I shared with God, is like, God, if if you restore this thing, I
Mhm.
don't want a relationship where I can't trust. I don't want to be sitting here wondering if every time you're not in my sight, if you with another woman. If that's going to
Mhm.
be the quality of the relationship, I don't want no parts of it. I
Yeah.
just don't. I just
Yeah.
don't. It's not good for your mental health.
Mm.
It's not, it just, it weighs down on you, the torment. And, we have our knower, we have our women's intuition. But the thing of it is when you've been wounded, when you've been hurt, a lot
Come
of
on.
times that vision gets thwarted. So you'll start
Yeah.
seeing stuff through the eyes of trauma
Mhm.
versus what's really happening. So, and I didn't want to live the rest of my life like that. So, the academy has been beautiful. I get the privilege of the women that come through the academy. I get the privilege of helping them, discover
Mhm.
themselves again, to take back their power. And I love being able to work with them one on one, for those that, decide to go the one on one route versus, doing the course. But the
Yeah.
academy that's what it's for. It's to help women. And it started out where it was wives, but then I started learning along the way that it's more than just wives need to heal,
Yeah.
from infidelity. And so
Yeah.
there's women in there that are single. There's women that have decided to divorce. It's just, if you have been hit by infidelity and you're like, I need to heal from this. There's women in there that's been in long-term relationships and never married, but they're still dealing with it. So
Wow.
that's what I do. That's what I do. I get to help them to navigate that and to find their joy and to take back their
Mm.
power. It's such a beautiful thing.
Oh, that's so amazing, amazing. And the fifth pillar is beautiful. They're all beautiful, but the trust factor, and like you mentioned, you don't want to live life like that. Being in a house where someone has cheated on you and you've experienced infidelity and wondering every time they walk out the door what they're doing or looking at their phone, that's not a quality of life. And if that's what you think you're going to do, then it may be best to go separate ways,
If you're
right?
gonna live the rest of your life like that, that's I always say that's not abundant living. And he
That's not
said that
about
he wants us to have life, and life more abundantly. So
yes,
I encourage, do the work to heal, so
yeah,
that you can live that abundant life. You don't have to torment yourself. You don't have to, every week, every time they pick up the phone, you wondering if it's another woman.
right.
Don't That's not living. That's not,
No,
we love to say we live in the dream. That is, I know that's not the dream.
that's not the dream.
That is
That
not it.
no, no, that is not
Not
it.
it.
Dr. K, is there anything else, other encouraging words you'd like to leave as we wrap up on today, as well as at this time, give all your contact information in case somebody wants to come and join your academy or reach out to you on all social media platforms?
Absolutely. First of all, I would just want to encourage you. If you are a woman where you have been impacted by infidelity and you're listening and you are feeling like, I hear what she's saying, but I can't move. I don't know what God is saying. I can't hear, because of the clutter that's going on on the outside. I just encourage you to get yourself to a quiet space and
Yeah,
to really get in the presence of God. If that's finding one scripture, you don't have to know Genesis to Revelation. You only need one scripture, and hold on to that, and hold on to what God has promised you. I encourage you to be strong. You are not by yourself. You're not alone. There are many women that are hurting the same way that you are, that have been through this. And I'm not the only one that's made it to the other side, y'all. I'm not. And so I just encourage you to make sure you're guarding your eye gates and your ear gates, and make sure you're cutting
Mm.
off the negative people, cutting
Woo.
off negative people that are speaking over you and to you and about you and your marriage. Especially if you have decided to stay, you got to cut off those negative voices. And I invite you to connect with me. I'm on all social media platforms with the exception of Twitter, at Dr. Katrina Esau. You can connect with me. If you have any interest in scheduling a consultation, you can do that directly from my website, www.drkatrinaesau.com. You can visit there to learn more information about me and all that good jazz. You can get to the academy from there. You can see what digital course content is already out there. And I invite you all today, y'all. Listen, I hope the link went live today.
Today.
Yeah, today for my new 21-day devotional, and it's called Woman Be Made Whole. It is available on Amazon. I encourage you to go out and get it. It'll be $4.99 all this week, on the Kindle version. So I invite you to please go out and support and to get that. It'll definitely bless your life. It's going to help you to transform. It deals with topics like joy, peace, abundance, strength, all of those things that we need along this healing journey. So I invite you to please go out and to support and to get that on Amazon today. And again, connect with me, reach out to me, DM me, schedule a free consultation on my website. Do what you need to do, but get yourself some help, and let's get healed and whole this year. Let's start the process.
Amen. Oh, yes. That's a hand clap right there. Yes.
Yes.
Healed and whole this year.
Yes.
So, yes. So, Dr. K, thank you so very much for being with me on today on the Divorce Talk with Twyla show. It's been an honor and it's a pleasure. And the word went forth.
Yes. Yes. We listen, y'all. We were determined. You all do not even know the fight that we've went through to get this, but to God be the glory. I'm grateful that we did it.
Yes.
The word has gone forth, and I sincerely pray that somebody's life was touched. I pray that there was something said that blessed you. I know that you'll, when you see this comment, send feedback to Twyla, and let her know that you all enjoyed the show. I would love to come back someday down the line, depending on how things work with our schedules. But it's been such an honor and a privilege to be here and to bless and encourage and share with you all, because it blesses me every time.
Yes, it does. It blesses me too. I'm all about the inspiration and informing people and uplifting and encouraging and making sure people are good. That's just all what I do. I'm very passionate about that as well. So, y'all listen, tune in next week. I have another amazing guest. It's the third episode of the Infidelity Series. I have Dr. Jason Ross. He is a psychotherapist coach. He specializes in helping clients get unstuck as they deal with traumatic experiences. So if you're ready to get unstuck, right, come on in and listen to Dr. Jason Ross next week. So this is Coach Twyla, the Get Your Happy Back Divorce Coach. Until next week, I'm out. See ya.
What a great show! Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, the Divorce Talk with Twyla show is out.